Jim from The Office is known for many things. He is the workplace heartthrob, the office normie, and everyone's favorite prankster. But what people rarely discuss when talking about Jim's character is that he's actually kind of a jerk. Here are 7 times Jim was anything but the nice guy. But before we begin, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, turn on the notification bell, and drop a like for daily injections of review videos and more in your timeline. Starting off our countdown at number 7. Season 1, Episode 4, The Alliance. When employees at the Scranton branch of Dunder Mifflin find out that they might be facing downsizing, Dwight asks Jim to form an alliance to protect their jobs. While Dwight is genuinely concerned about losing his job, Jim accepts the offer to form an alliance without taking Dwight's anxiety seriously. Jim even reveals to the camera that he will mess with Dwight and that his intentions when accepting Dwight's offer are purely for his entertainment. In this situation, Jim is kidding around even though Dwight is serious. Jim immediately breaks his promise of secrecy regarding their alliance to get others from the office to help him mess with Dwight. By the end of the episode, Jim literally tapes Dwight into a cardboard box while the rest of the office has a party. Not exactly the type of coworker I'd want to have. Coming in at number 6. Season 3, Episode 9, The Convict. So, Jim has just returned to the Scranton branch after a merger with Stamford, and with him came Karen and Andy, amongst some other short-lived side characters. Karen is Jim's current significant other, while Andy is someone Jim met while working at the Stamford branch. In this episode, Andy asks Jim to help him get Pam to like him. Jim uses Andy's request as an opportunity to mess with the Scranton employees. Here, we see Jim do a few things that are very jerk-like. First of all, Andy's personality at this point in the show is very flawed. He is quite misogynistic, yet Jim agrees to help him get closer to Pam despite the way Andy talks about women. Jim feeds Andy false information regarding Pam's interests and then laughs with Pam about Andy's embarrassing come-ons. Moreover, at the end of the episode, Jim lies to Karen about the situation to avoid a potentially awkward or telling interaction with Pam and Karen simultaneously. Making it to number 5. Season 3, Episode 20, Product Recall. Jim's pranks are a pretty famous part of the show, especially those played on Dwight. In this prank, Jim comes to work dressed up as Dwight, imitating how he talks, his hairstyle, and his personality. Even though this prank might seem funny, when you think about what's actually happening to Dwight, it's difficult not to see that Jim crosses the line. Essentially, the punchline to this joke is Dwight's appearance, personality, and interests. By imitating Dwight, Jim makes fun of all of these things, to Dwight's face, in front of the entire office. Jim continues the prank even after Dwight gets upset, never stopping to consider that what he's doing is just bullying his deskmate. At our halfway point, coming in at number 4, Season 5, Episode 24, Heavy Competition. After Andy's engagement is called off, he tries to convince Jim that he can't trust Pam. Jim, who is completely aware that Andy is projecting his own problems onto Jim and Pam's relationship, decides to play along with Andy's theory to make an example out of Andy. Andy wants to prove to Jim that the emotional support of a significant other, specifically Pam, is unnecessary. He tells Jim to use him as his traveling pants, a metaphor for emotional support. Jim spends the episode exaggerating his emotional needs, going as far as pretending to cry and have a meltdown in front of their coworkers. As usual, most of the office is in on the joke, making Andy look foolish. Just because Jim had a reason to be frustrated with Andy doesn't make publicly humiliating him okay. Coming in at number 3. Season 6, Episode 3, The Promotion. When Jim receives a promotion that Dwight wanted and is put in charge of the Scranton branch's day-to-day operations, Jim does not don his new position with humility. With a change in rank at a workplace, it makes sense for the new superior to change their behavior, at least somewhat. But Jim continues teasing Dwight, and he again crosses the line. Dwight asks Jim to sign a form for him without saying please, and Jim says he won't sign it until Dwight says please. This argument eventually leads to Dwight having to make a complaint about Jim to Jim. During this complaint, Jim teases Dwight, asking him if he's crying while pretending to take notes that accuse Dwight of doing things he hasn't done. This behavior is extremely unprofessional and shows Jim abusing his authority at Dwight's expense. In the runner-up spot, coming in at number 2, Season 8, Episode 4, Garden Party. This episode is famous for one of Jim's most notorious pranks, where he goes to a lot of trouble just to, once again, publicly humiliate Dwight. This prank has Dwight follow a book published by Jim describing how to throw the perfect garden party. While it might seem like a perfectly executed prank, Jim is actually tricking Dwight into embarrassing himself under the pretense that he is throwing a great party. As per the book's instruction, Dwight does a series of performances that makes the guests at the party uncomfortable. If the party were just for fun, it would be a little less bad on Jim's part, though it's still public humiliation, but Dwight was using this party to start a business hosting events at Short Farms. By tricking Dwight into following his instructions, Jim is sabotaging Dwight's business and embarrassing Dwight in front of coworkers and strangers alike. At the top spot, coming in at number 1, Season 9, Episode 2, Roy's Wedding. When Jim and Pam go to Roy's wedding, he reveals to the camera that he has started a business with his college friends without Pam's knowledge. He and Pam had already discussed the potential business plans and decided not to move forward with the endeavor. This is a big lie considering the two are married and have a house and kids at this point in the show. Jim even goes so far as to lie to Pam's face when they try to figure out things they don't know about each other. By the end of the episode, it's clear that Jim is intentionally keeping Pam in the dark. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but being of Pam looking for their Jim isn't the happily ever after we should all be aspiring to.